Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. Now, this is just a commentary. It does not have to do with policy. It has just to do with my outlook on things. Before I launch into this, let me give a big shout out to Hilda J. Ritchie. Thank you so much. You gave me my very first campaign donation, and it was a significant one. I appreciate that more than I can tell you. This is being laid aside. I'm trying to gather money to start advertising early in next year, so it absolutely helps. It's getting me in that direction. This does not discount any previous donations to my other channel. Those have been very well appreciated, but they are separate, okay? All right, so before let me say, please listen to this, because whether you love Trump or you hate Trump, I'm getting to a point in this. So I was having a conversation online earlier today with somebody that I agree with almost everything on. But on this, he is, hopefully this is going to kind of change his perspective on this. So I'm going to read what I wrote to him as a response to something that he posted. I said, I do not like Trump. I am ideologically opposite to him on most issues. However, I do not demonize the entire MAGA crowd. Even most Trump supporters vehemently oppose what happened on January 6th. The fact is that most Trump supporters did not vote for Trump. They voted against Hillary Clinton and then Joe Biden. I even understand them questioning the results of the 2020 election with all that happened in the DNC in 2016 and 2020. Suppression of Sanders and Gabbard campaigns, superdelegates, the Iowa cell phone app, and on and on. Most Trump supporters are not racist. I've worked with a few. I will say Trump is racist, though not overtly so. He had a lot of support in minority communities. January 6th was a few thousand people. It began as a peaceful protest. We know that FBI infiltrated them. Of those who began the incursion, it was a few hundred. Of those that actually engaged in violence, it was maybe a couple of dozen. Otherwise, it would have been a bloodbath. The guy with face paint and horns was a weirdo who would be virtually ignored at a football game. He may have had his image posted, but it would have been forgotten in a day or two. The MAGA crowd act out of fear and anger. Understandable fear and anger. I cannot endorse alienating the concerns of half of the population or more. A lot of the far left extremists are calling for a violent revolution. I am not in favor of violence from any side. I don't see much of a difference, really. Marxism is the ultimate form of democracy, in truth. If both sides claim they want to restore or implement democracy, though in different forms. If Marxists overthrow the government, is that better? I don't think so. Should we consider Marxists to be terrorists? Any form of extremism is undesirable. Violence should be absolutely condemned. Yet, we cannot label tens of millions of Americans as fascistic and then condemn them even further because they defend their political identification when they are disparaged as a basket of deplorables, fascists, or terrorists. This is coming to a point where people may be targeted based on how they pull a lever at a ballot box. The more that fear is stoked, the worse the results are going to be. Now, labeling, Trump a fascist and not applying the same label to Biden or, honestly, Hillary or Obama, and, that's just wrong. If we take a look at how our police have been militarized, our own president right now is deeply disparaging half of the country. Half of the country. I don't see that having very good results in the midterms. It is not going to be forgotten. The basket of deplorables comment has not been forgotten. And these are things that deeply divide us. It's not doing any good. Now, one of the best friends, maybe my best friend ever, sadly passed away a few weeks ago, but she was a conservative. See, I'm so far left, and my best friend ever was a conservative. We butted heads a lot. But she was a Trump supporter, and we could butt heads, but we still cared very much about each other. So we listened to each other. So I'm going to admit, on January 6th, I had an extreme reaction at first. And I regret that extreme reaction. I got called out on it. And I backtracked and took a look at myself and went, whoa, wait. That's wrong. I was just as or more opposed to barricades around the White House that last, and the National Guard being called in and remaining there for months. I can understand an increased security presence, but barricades around the White House, which I understand have been re-erected, I'm not a. That is, if we looked at that and compared it to the Kremlin. Or North Korea, wouldn't we be calling that out? I mean, that was a police state. We had armed forces on the streets of Washington, D.C. Does that denote freedom? I'm opposed to, entire social media platforms being taken down, a former U.S. president being removed from social media and silenced. Even if I oppose what he has to say, claiming that he incited violence is not actually true. He didn't actually do anything to stop it from happening. That is true. But, I do believe that Biden won the general election. I don't believe that he actually won the primary. I don't believe Hillary won the primary. At least none of that was fair. Like I said, people are reacting out of fear and anger, and their fear and anger is very justified. Should we be calling them fascists because of it? No, absolutely not. Can I disparage people for, blaming Biden for the economy being what it is? With our current economic structure? No. The economy was portrayed under Trump as being far better than it was, talking about how great 2019 was when we had over 9,600 retail outlets closed, corporate retail outlets closed that year because the economy, consumer spending was down so low. It was actually deemed the retail apocalypse. That was more retail closures than any year in U.S. history. And by September of 2019, the Federal Reserve began bailing out failing banks in what was called the repo market bailout, which continued until February of this year. And look at what's been happening since then. That was, over 200 trucking companies went out of business in 2019. And they have not returned, which is a part of the transportation, the supply chain bottleneck that we've experienced. Which, if consumer spending was back up, that bottleneck would still be there. The only reason that the supply chain has actually recovered is because of a slowdown in consumer spending. If we wanted the president to do anything about the economy, then you would have to enable the president to do something about it. But giving more money to corporations is not going to help. You're only giving money to, just like the tax reduction, the Trump tax reduction for the wealthy, that didn't help the, middle class and the poor. It did not and will not. The tariffs on China did not help. But the sanctions on Russia are doing extreme damage. Right. We still have we have a trade deficit with Russia right now. Yes, we're still importing from Russia. Up until February of this year, we were importing liquefied natural gas from Russia. Fascism is a very amorphic, slippery term. And the literal fact of the matter is, it's very hard to define. There is no singular definition for fascism. Contrary to popular belief, it is not marked by a single leader. It is a system. It does have certain characteristics, such as the weakening of labor power, the stripping away of rights for workers, and lowering of wages, or, empowering corporate control, ties between corporate structures and governments, the control of the media, censorship, militarization of police. Generally, they throw in sexism and racism, but that's not actually necessary to have fascism. But, if you look at it, and what's going on right now. We do have racism against anyone Russian, but okay, fascism is marked by extreme nationalism and overblown view of your country. So, I mean, there are definite characteristics to fascism. But if you apply these things objectively, we have been living under fascism for decades. And unless we change it, we will continue, and it will get worse. I don't care who is in office, it will get worse. And if you try to isolate more, well, we need the states to have more power. Well, all you're doing is concentrating pockets of this. And you will wind up with one state vying with another state, you know, and closing borders. This does not work out in any way. We are fracturing this country. If you believe in the United States, then we have to be united across party lines, across state lines. So this is something to rethink. But we don't need to be labeling each other. Oh, you're a communist, you're a socialist, you're a fascist, you're a terrorist. Hey, none of this helps. I'm able to reach across and speak with people that I don't agree with, as long as we can go beyond ideology and actually hear each other. We all have concerns, fears, anxieties, angers. But we have to get past that, and the only way to get past that is through communicating with each other. And we don't communicate if all we're going to do is name call and scream in each other's faces. We're in a dark place right now. We can change it at the individual level. We can change it. We have to make the change. All right, so please share this video. Talk about these subjects. I have no problem hearing. I want to hear from people on all sides of issues, as long as it is in a respectful and rational manner. I'm a person that's focused on results and communication, open dialogue. Just because you voted for somebody else doesn't mean I'm just not going to listen to what you got to say, unless that is the only self-perception you've got. That becomes a problem. There's got to be more. All right, so share this video. Talk about these subjects. Comment. Let me know what you think. If you can, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel or this campaign. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.